All right. I need you to do me a favor really quick, if you would. Look around. Look at your desk. Look at the kitchen counter. Look at that random chair in your bedroom that has somehow become a clothing donation center. If it's not a chair, you know exactly what I'm talking about, though. Maybe it's the passenger seat of your car. Maybe it's the garage. Maybe it's the pile of random stuff that you keep meaning to deal with, but somehow keeps becoming a part of your damn furniture. Now, here is my question to you. When you look at that mess, do you feel tired? Like weirdly tired? Like before your day even started, your brain already feels behind. Well, if you have ADHD, there is a reason why you feel this way. So let's talk about it. This is Wild Focus. Welcome back, everybody. And like I said, like I had asked you to look around at your environment, what did you see? What did you see sitting on your counter that you walked past 10 minutes ago? Was there a stack of unopened mail? Three half empty water bottles? Because that's what's on my counter right now. Well, regardless of where you looked and what you saw, this is what happens with most of us with adult ADHD. We look at that pile and we don't see clutter. We see a physical wave of exhaustion. We freeze. We look at a messy room and our brain treats it like an unsolvable math problem. And then the shame spiral kicks in. You start telling yourself, why can't I just be normal? Why can't I just put the keys away? Why am I being so lazy? Well, I'm here to tell you directly and unapologetically, you are not lazy. Your environment is quite literally stealing your brain power. What you're experiencing isn't a character flaw. It is a neurological issue and is described as visual noise. Think of it like this. Imagine opening your laptop to do work, but the moment you open your laptop, your browser has 50 pop ups that just explode onto your screen. They're flashing, they're playing audio, they're in your face demanding your attention. You can't find the tab you actually need because your screen has become a war zone. Now, that is exactly what a messy room to an ADHD brain. That's what it does to an ADHD brain. Every single object left out in your physical space is a visual pop up ad. Your brain is being forced to waste very precious energy closing the window on items over and over and over again before you've even typed a single word to start actual work. So today we're going to dive into the neurochemistry of why clutter destroys our focus and can ultimately create stressful moments where you let your temper get the best of you. We're going to be looking at the hard facts of how our sensory filters fail us. We're going to throw out some of the worst neurotypical organizing advice out there. Yes, I am looking at you, minimalism, that bullshit lie. And I'm going to give you a biological survival guide to reclaim your space. So let's just jump into it. But first, in order to understand why our environment breaks us, we have to take a peek under the hood at how the ADHD brain processes sensory data. So, in a neurotypical brain, there is a beautifully functioning system that's called sensory gating. I think a good way for everybody to visualize this is to think of a very highly efficient bouncer standing at the door of your conscious mind. When a neurotypical person sits down at a messy desk, their bouncer looks at that pile of laundry, the random pens, and the coffee mug, and the brain says, "Hey, we're trying to write an email right now, okay? You guys are not on the damn list back of the line. Get out." And automatically, without any conscious effort, their brain filters clutter to the background. They literally stop recognizing that it's there. But in an ADHD brain, our bouncer fell asleep on the damn job. We have a fundamental deficit in sensory gating. When we sit down at that same desk, our brain tries to process everything with equal priority. The half empty mug is screaming for attention. The stack of mail is flashing a warning sign in our face. Now, recently I have read that Princeton University, the Neuroscience Institute, actually ran a study on this using the fMRI brain imaging. Now, for those of you who don't know, because I had no idea and I had a hard time even pronouncing it, a fMRI is a non invasive brain scan that measures and maps brain activity in real time. Unlike a standard MRI, though, which that only takes a static photo of your brain structure, in fMRI, I'll get it, I promise, takes a video of your brain actually working. The study proved that multiple visual stimuli present in your visual field at the same time will actively compete for that neural representation. They crowd each other out in your visual cortex. Now, for a neurodivergent brain, that means your working memory and your executive function are being drained in the background the entire time. Think of that executive function like a smartphone battery. Every app you leave open drains that battery a little bit faster. When your physical space is cluttered, you are running 50 background apps at once. And by the time you actually try to open the app you need, your battery, it's already at 10%. And your brain's boss is too exhausted from processing background clutter to give you the dopamine boost that you so desperately need to actually start your day. And so let's take a moment to talk about that object permanence, or more accurately for ADHD, the lack of object visual permanence. Our brains operate on a very strict binary system of out of sight, out of mind. You know what I'm talking about here. If an item is placed inside a drawer or inside a cupboard or tucked away in a closet, it effectively ceases to exist to us because we subconsciously know that we know this about ourselves, and we develop a coping mechanism for this. You guessed it. We pile things in random places. We leave the bill on the counter so we don't forget to pay it. We leave vitamins or medication out on the counter so we don't forget to take those. We leave project files scattered across the floor so we don't lose momentum. But here's the catch 22, the ultimate ADHD paradox. If you can't see it, we forget it exists. But if we can see it, it overwhelms the shit out of us to the point of paralysis. We're caught in a constant crossfire between forgetting our lives or being crushed by the visual weight of them. That is the true ADHD tax on our physical space. It's the mental friction of living in a world that tells you to hide your mess, while your brain tells you that hiding your mess is an organizational death sentence. Let's be honest. But it actually goes a bit deeper than just a tired brain. The constant failure to filter background data doesn't just drain your cognitive battery, it actively triggers a physical state of sensory overload. Think about it. When your brain is constantly assaulted by visual noise, your nervous system interprets this as it interprets that environment as a state of instability. And your brain hates instability because the sleeping bouncer in your head isn't blocking out the mess. Your brain's emotional alarm system starts to panic. It misinterprets that pile of laundry, those unwashed dishes, and that chaotic desk as a literal physical threat. And what happens when your brain senses a threat? It pulls the damn fire alarm. Your body enters a low grade chronic state of fight or flight. It floods your system with cortisol, the stress hormone, and adrenaline. Now, think about what happens to your ADHD symptoms when you are stressed and flooded with cortisol. Your executive function doesn't just dip, it completely evaporates. Your working memory gets worse. Your impulsivity shoots up because your understimulated prefrontal cortex completely goes offline. Your emotional regulation shatters, leaving you irritable, anxious, and deeply frustrated over the smallest things. This is the hidden trap. Clutter overstimulates your nervous system. The overstimulation spikes your stress hormones, and those stress hormones violently amplify every single one of your ADHD symptoms. Suddenly, you just aren't dealing with a messy desk. You're dealing with a brain that is too chemically dysregulated to function. The environment triggers your ADHD into overdrive, locking you into this paralyzing cycle of shutdown where you want to clean, but your body physically feels too panicked to move. And I'm talking about this one specifically because I have felt this tremendously in my life. This has caused so much friction in my life before. And it was before I knew what it was. So again, I was diagnosed last year at the age of 38 with ADHD. In my previous marriage, my ex was, I'll say politely, maybe not the most organized individual. And our house was definitely not the most clutter free zone. And it triggered me. And in those moments, I did not understand what I understand now. And I thought I was just being an ass. And I tried to cope. I tried to find ways to be okay with it. And it would work once in a while, but I would always circle back to being completely overstimulated, and it would cause stress in the household. It would cause fights, and it would cause me to be a very bad version of myself. And again, I did not know what it was at the time, but now through this research and understanding, I have found ways to work with my brain and not get to that point anymore. I want to take a quick second to pause and to talk about my company, Weekend Wild. It's an outdoor lifestyle brand built around one idea: spend less time on your screens and more time outside. If you head over to weekendwildmi.com, you can check out all the gear that we have. And if you use the code WILDFOCUS15, you can get 15% off your entire purchase. Now, this is the part that really means a lot to me. 10% of all sales goes to supporting the DNR Stepping Stones program, which is a nonprofit that is dedicated to helping individuals and families gain access to the outdoors. So if you want to support the podcast along with the DNR Stepping Stones program, please go to weekendwildmi.com today and use that code WILDFocus15. Because we feel this overwhelm, what do? We look for help. We turn to books, social media, or organizational gurus. And we get hit with standard cookie cutter neurotypical bullshit advice. So let's break down two biggest lies we've been told about organizing and why they absolutely backfire on an ADHD brain. Number one, the minimalism myth. We've all seen the aesthetic videos, right? The white walls, empty desks, clear glass jars, everything hidden behind perfectly uniform solid white cabinets. It sounds like a sanctuary. So we get inspired. We spend a weekend throwing things away, buying matching storage bins, and shoving everything out of sight just because we loved what it looked like online. And what happens 3 days later? Chaos. You can't find a damn thing. You forget you bought groceries because they're hidden in a crisper drawer. You end up buying a second pair of scissors because you couldn't remember which uniform white bin held the office supplies. That one, I'll say, if you're in the Midwest listening to this, we all tend to have a junk drawer. So typically they're in there. So that might solve some things. But, anyways, minimalism fails the ADHD brain because it completely ignores the need for visual cues. When you hide everything to reduce visual noise, you strip away the very markers your brain uses to navigate the day. You haven't organized your life. You've just created a beautifully stylized maze where you are constantly lost. Lie number two, clean as you go. This is one of my favorite ones. And how many times have you heard this? Just put it away the second you're done using it. Don't put it down, just put it away. Yeah, so let's look at that at a real life situation. You are in the zone. You have actually managed to wake up that sleepy CEO in your head. You're hyper focused you're locked in and you are working on a creative project or building something out in the garage. Okay. You need a specific tool. You use it, and then the clean as you go rule rings in your head. So you stop, you walk across the garage, you put the tool back in the exact same drawer, walk back, and oh, the magic is gone. The train of thought is completely derailed now. Your ADHD brain task switching friction is incredibly high, forcing ourselves to stop mid flow to perform a micro cleaning task triggers an immediate executive function block. We cannot smoothly transition from creating to tidying and back to creating. Asking us to clean as we go is a surefire way to ensure that we never finish the actual task we started. We need to stop trying to force our round peg brains into these square hole organizational systems. We need to stop organizing for compliance and start organizing for friction reduction. So, how do we actually fix this? If minimalism doesn't work and piling things causes paralysis, what's the middle ground for us? We have to build an environment that acts as an external nervous system. We need systems that honor our lack of object permanence while dramatically cutting down on visual noise. So, here are 4 practical, battle tested strategies to make your physical space work for you and your ADHD and not against it. Number one, visual and transparent storage. So if your brain operates on out of sight, out of mind, then the solution is simple. Keep it in sight, but keep it structured. So hear me when I say throw away those solid plastic bins, those dark wooden boxes, and any matching drawers that you bought because you thought it was aesthetically pleasing. Replace them entirely with clear plastic bins, wire baskets, and open shelving. When you use clear or open storage, your brain can scan the room and instantly verify where things are without having to open a single lid. You get the visual confirmation your brain craves to combat object permanence. But because the items are contained within a boundary, the visual noise is severely reduced. Then another massive game changer here is vertical pegboards. So hang them on your wall right in front of your desk or workspace. Hang your scissors, your headphones, your keys, your cables directly on the board. Put all that up there. They are completely visible, easily accessible with zero task switching friction. So they're also now lifted off of those horizontal surfaces. Now brings me to the golden rule of ADHD space management. Keep horizontal surfaces sacred. Floors, desks, and counters are for actions and not for storage. Strategy number two, the doom basket strategy. So let's be realistic here. You are going to have days where your executive function is absolute crap. Piles are going to happen. Instead of fighting that reality and spiraling into shame, we're going to build a system for it. I want you to place one large, open, aesthetically pleasing basket in every main room of your house. This is your designated doom basket. When the visual noise in a room reaches that tipping point in your brain and you feel it start to freeze, you're not going to spend 2 hours sorting through everything. You don't have the bandwidth for that in that moment. Instead, you're going to take everything that is cluttering up your horizontal surfaces, the mail, the random objects, the stray items, and you are going to sweep them into that doom basket. And now, in less than 2 minutes, your surfaces are clear. The visual pop up ads are closed. Your brain gets an immediate environmental reset, and your nervous system can finally calm down. You don't have to worry about sorting the basket right then and there. The basket is a boundary, it keeps the chaos contained in one single coordinated point, allowing you to deal with it on a day where that sleepy CEO of yours up in your brain actually shows up to work. Strategy number three, macro organizing over micro organizing. So, what I mean by this is neurotypical organization relies on micro categories. Okay. They want you to have a drawer for paper clips, a drawer for rubber bands, and a separate drawer for markers. Yeah, that requires too many decisions and too much precision for an ADHD brain. It creates way too much friction. We need macro organizing, board sweeping categories. Okay. Instead of organizing by item type, organize by activity or zone in the home. Create a taxes box. Everything related to your taxes, receipts, forms, pens, a calculator, that goes all into one giant clear box. I have open shelves dedicated to certain things. Create a podcast recording box. I have a shelf for all my recording items for podcasts, for music, all of it, cables, mics. Everything goes on this one shelf and it's wide open. It's not hidden, it's right there. And when you're done with an activity, you don't have to make 10 different decisions about where items go. You make one decision. It all goes back into that macro box. We want to lower the bar for putting things away to the absolute lowest common denominator. If it takes more than one step to put something away, an ADHD brain simply won't do it. Reduce the steps, reduce the friction. All right. Strategy number 4, the rule of 2 for, let's call it decision fatigue. So clutter isn't just physical, it's also unmade decisions. A stack of mail is actually a stack of 5 decisions you have yet to make. To prevent your space from reaching that critical mass, use the rule of 2. When you are faced with an overwhelming area, do not try to clean the whole thing. Tell yourself, I'm only going to make 2 decisions right now. Pick up 2 pieces of mail and decide trash or action. That's it. Walk away. By artificially limiting your daily choices, you tend to protect your limited processing power that you have. You prevent the micro decision meltdown that leads to total physical and mental paralysis. So as we look to wrap up today's episode, I want to leave you with a fundamental shift in how you view your home or your workspace. Your worth as a human being is not measured by the cleanliness of your kitchen counters. A spotless house is not proof of a successful life. A messy room is also not a sign of failure. We live in a world that systematically was built for a completely different brain type. We're told that order looks like hidden, sterile minimalism. But your neurodivergent brain doesn't need a sterile environment to have a calm mind. You don't need a perfect house. What you need is an environment that does not fight your biology. You deserve space that protects your energy. You deserve an environment that supports your working memory instead of constantly draining it. When you set up clear bins, when you embrace those doom baskets, and when you stop trying to clean as you go, you are not giving up. You are executing a highly sophisticated, scientifically backed strategy to liberate your focus. So here is your homework for this week. Pick one single surface, just your work desk, just your bedside table, or just one section of your kitchen counter. Clear the visual noise off that one surface using strategies that we talked about today. Throw the chaos into a basket, protect that horizontal space, and just notice how your brain feels when it looks at that clear zone. Notice the relief. You have the power to change how your brain interacts with the world, one environment reset at a time. Now, if you've enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to subscribe to the podcast wherever you're listening to. Follow the show and myself on all social media. And remember, your brain is not broken. It is just structured completely different. And that is 100% okay. Get outside, spend some time out there, let it help regulate your systems. I appreciate you all for listening. This is Wild Focus.